For the remainder of the class, I would like for us to start practicing some poetry just to get our feet on the ground and see what it's like to start walking. So I have two different options for everybody just to see what we'd want to do. We can either write a found poem, which would be an individual activity. I'm going to provide 3 poems that everybody's going to read a minute each, and then I'll explain the directions further for that in the next slide. Or we can write a Frankenstein poem, which would be a group activity. There are, depending on how many of us there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there's 8 of us. That's good. We can, if we want to. A Frankenstein poem is basically a poem where each of us provides a line and we just wing it. We just write a poem off the cuff and see what we create. It's pretty cool. That's an option. What would everybody like to do? We have about 25 minutes left. You can write it in the chat. Let me know what y'all think.
I like the option of writing a found poem.
Okay, I'll go ahead and show the instructions for the found poem so that y'all can also see what I'm thinking of. Frankenstein sounds fun. Okay, so to give a better sense of what a found poem is, I've provided 3 poems that we will read a minute each. And all you do is write down every single word that catches your eye. And you don't think about it, you just see it, you write it down, and then you move on. Let's see, I'm down for either. Okay, same here. So we have 1 for Frankenstein and 1 for found poem. Since we have 25 minutes, 24 minutes, let's try out a found poem and go from there. But yeah, I encourage trying out writing the Frankenstein poem with like a group of friends or just people that you know. It's a really fun thing to do. So what we're going to do here. So the first poem I'm going to have y'all read is The Hill We Climb by Amanda Gorman. I'm going to paste the link in the chat. Go ahead and open that on your computers or if you're on your phone. I recommend using a paper and pen or pencil. Writing it down is just easier than typing it out on like your computer or your phone. And I'm pretty traditional with how I write poetry, so I always encourage using pen and paper. And I'm going to put a timer for a minute. A minute starts now. Okay, so that's the timer. Now we're going to move on to the second poem, which is The Eagle Poem by Joy Harjo. So I am including the link for that in the chat. And then we're going to have another minute for writing down the words from this poem. And then when y'all are ready, just give me a thumbs up or nod your head and I will start the timer. Everybody's good. The link for that is in the chat. I'm going to start the timer for 1 minute starting now. Okay, so that's the timer. So go ahead and put your pens and pencils down. Now we're going to move on to the third poem, which is The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. So I'm including the link for that in the chat. Go ahead and open that, and I will start the timer when everyone is ready. All right, so a minute is starting now. All right, so that is the timer. So about how many words does everybody have in total? Yeah, 13. So a good amount of words to have for drafting 35, that's great, would be anywhere between 30 and 40 words. 40, okay, that's great.
39.
I think I heard 39. Anywhere between 30 and 40 is good. Janine, how about you? How many words did you have?
50.
Okay, cool. So we're going to do 2 drafts, 39. Yeah, that's great. Michelle, if you want to go back to another poem, yeah, one of the poems that I've provided and get maybe somewhere around 20 more words if you want to like put a timer on your phone for a minute and go back and get a few more words, that'll be really helpful for drafting. Yeah. So we're going to do 2 drafts. We're going to do a first draft and then a second draft that we're going to be sharing at the end. Yeah, no worries, Rocket. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for being with us today. So for the first draft, I want y'all to take out 15 words from the list. You got 1 word. That's perfect. A 1-word poem. That'll be super experimental, super modern. Yeah, take out about 15 words from the selection that you've written down and write a poem with what you have. So use some of the elements that we've talked about. Just think about a story that you want to write. Think of a narrative, who, what, where, when, why, how. Think of rhyme, rhythm, and repetition, and how you want to break up the lines of your poem. So for the first draft, so because we only have 14 minutes left, I'll give you all 5 minutes to shave down your selection of words by 15 words. So you're going to take out 15 words and draft your first draft for your poem. So I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes. But here are also some questions for drafting that if you want to reference, I have them up on the screen. So I'm going to set the timer now for 5 minutes. You're going to take out 15 words. So Cameron, you had 40 words. You're going to be left with 25 words, okay? Okay, that is the timer. Now what we're going to do is refine that draft that y'all created and really focus on what is this poem about? What is the goal that you want to have with this poem? Who are you writing the poem to? Who do you want to be able to relate to the poem, just to connect with what you are saying? What effects do you want this poem to have? Think about the emotional aspect of what you've written. Think about the images that you are including and any potential interpretations that people can have when they hear and read your poem. How much do you want to be obvious and how much do you want to leave up to interpretation? So we're going to spend, since we only have 7 minutes left, and I want to be able to get to everybody when we share, let's spend about 3 minutes refining what you have. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is just a second draft, but for the next 3 minutes, go ahead and think about those questions and refine what you have. So 3 minutes starting now. Alrighty, so that is the timer. What we're gonna do now is we're going to share the poems that y'all have written. Who wants to start us off?
I'll go first.
Awesome.
Okay. Sitting down by the quiet, pristine sea, as I pray with a broken dream, pray that a pair of sacred wings take me away to grassy roads and that I become a traveler, witnessing the beauty of the earth, that I see the golden hues of the sun and sky as well as the blues. Does it?
All right, Shafreen, thank you. That was great.
Thank you.
You become a traveler, the image of the graph. I really like the mental movement that I experienced with what you wrote.
Thank you.
Who wants to go next? Don't worry, we're here to just provide feedback for your draft. No pressure, but I would love for somebody to share. We have about 3 minutes left. Cameron, yes, please.
Country eagle descended inside us, knowing all kindness, knowing all colors. Come ages knowing, salt steady morning, polish us pristine, grass leaves breathe fair justice.
I like that consonants, that repetition of the sound in several of your lines. Yeah, thank you for sharing. We have time for a few more if anybody else would like to share.
I'd like to share.
Yeah, please, rock it.
So the one word that I wrote down, I kind of just decided to run with it, and it was belly. So I drew a picture of a belly and like wrote my poem inside of the stomach. I don't know if y'all can see. Can you guys see?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And this is my poem. Belly shakes, jiggles, aches, trembles, busts a move like a booty from laughs, floats in the bath, softens the blow of a punch, digests and holds my lunch.
All right. Wow, that sensory imagery. I love that. That was really cool. Yeah, thank you for sharing. That was awesome. From that one word.
She's brilliant.
Definitely. Would anybody else like to share? We have about a minute.
I'll go ahead and share what I have.
Yeah, please.
Two roads diverge. I travel both. I pray that earth, sky, and the whole moon can hear me. I pray that every vestige of my life, let me repeat that again. Two roads diverge. I travel both. I pray that earth, sky, and the whole moon can hear me. I love every vestige of life. I love every vestige of you. You make my heart waltz inside of my chest cavity. I need you. That's why I prayed for you. Will slave for you. Want to bathe in your thought process, to bathe in your emotions hopelessly, because I'm hopelessly in love with you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. That repetition, I loved how it compounded. It added like a stack of emotion. That was really cool. Thank you for sharing. Janine, did you have something you wanted to say?
We're just about out of time.
Yeah, I would like to share my first found poem with y'all before we go, just because this exercise was learned from my first poetry teacher from the University of California, Irvine. Her name is Susan Davis. So this exercise was done in her honor. So this is a short poem titled Heavenly Bodies.
Oh, wait, I just wanted to say that I had seen that Michelle wanted to share and they would be the last person. So
Yeah, that would be great. Sorry, Michelle, I didn't see that you wrote you wanted to share.
Oh, it's okay. Mine's pretty short, so I'll go ahead and go. Recovery after defeat, empty promises of peace. I want to envision a world where the globe knows no division, where kindness defeats pride. It is the legacy everyone hopes to leave behind, but it feels more like a dream, like a diamond behind a glass box, beautiful, but just out of reach.
Wow, all right. Yeah.
That was great, Michelle.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, everybody. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to attend my first poetry class. Y'all are my first group of students for poetry. I'm honored that y'all shared this experience with me. Just to give you some parting words so that y'all can reflect on the drafts that you've written, if you want to continue drafting what you've already written, or if you want to write new poems, how you can go about improving your writing. Read a ton of poetry, read that poetry out loud, really tune your ear for those sounds, for that emotional repetition, that build up that really leaves an impact on whoever is experiencing that poetry. Watch Button Poetry on YouTube. That's a really great resource for finding new poetry, new poets who you yourselves can learn from, who I'm constantly learning from. Here's a list of recommended poets that I think y'all should read. This is a combination of traditional and modern forms of writing poetry. These are really great examples of people who I think y'all might like after what we've learned from today's class.